You were never just human. Stop. Read that again. You were never just human. Before you were born, before your mother felt the first flutter of your existence, before a single cell divided to form your eyes, your hands, your beating heart, something ancient chose this moment, chose this body, chose you. And the fact that you are here watching this right now, that is not an accident. There are 7 billion people on this planet. Most of them will never stop long enough to ask the question that is already forming in your chest right now. Most of them will scroll past this moment. Most of them will choose the comfortable numbness of distraction over the terrifying, magnificent truth of who they actually are. But not you. You paused. You felt something. That pull in your sternum, that quiet thunder beneath your ribs, that is not curiosity, that is recognition. Something in you already knows what I am about to say. Something in you has always known, and it has been waiting with infinite patience for you to finally turn around and face it. Here is what no one ever told you. What religion whispered in code, what philosophy danced around, what science is only now beginning to touch with trembling fingers. You are not a human being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being, ancient, limitless, sovereign, who agreed to wear this human body like a costume. You chose the forgetting. You chose the veil. You chose to arrive in this world crying and helpless and small so that you could spend your entire life remembering how vast you truly are. The gods of every civilization, every myth, every sacred text, every creation story told around fires that burned 10,000 years ago, they were not pointing at the sky. They were pointing at you. Every story of a chosen one, every prophet, every Messiah, every avatar who descended to walk among the ordinary, those stories were not about someone else. They were never about someone else. They were breadcrumbs left specifically, deliberately, lovingly for you to find in this lifetime, in this body, at this exact moment in history. And here is where it gets impossible to look away. The bloodline of God does not run through a royal family. It does not flow through a church or a temple or a sacred mountain in a distant land. The bloodline of God, the original creative force, the intelligence behind galaxies, the love that holds atoms together, that bloodline runs through you, through your veins, through your DNA, through every breath you take without even trying. You are not connected to the divine. You are not close to the divine. You are the divine. And before this video ends, you will never be able to see yourself the same way again. Because I am going to show you proof, not religious proof, not blind faith, experiential proof, the kind that lands in your body like lightning and stays there forever. The chosen one was never coming. The chosen one was always you. If this is already giving you chills, if something in you is saying yes, type chosen in the comments right now. Let the others who are waking up find each other. Part 1. The original fire. Before you were born, you were God. Let's go back, not to your childhood, not to your birth, not even to the beginning of this universe. Let's go back to before. Before space, before time, before the first particle of matter trembled into existence like a note struck on the string of nothing. There was awareness, pure, singular, infinite, aware. Not aware of anything, just awareness itself, existing without object, knowing without knower, being without boundary. That is what you actually are, not what you came from, not what you were connected to, what you are right now, beneath the noise, beneath the personality, beneath the story you tell yourself every single morning. The mystics called it different names, the Tao, Brahman, the Ein Sof, the Void, the Father, the Source, the Pleroma. Every name points at the same unspeakable reality. Before the universe existed, consciousness existed, and that consciousness, that original, boundless, solitary awareness, made a decision, the most radical decision in the history of existence. It decided to experience itself. Think about what that means. Really, think. If you are the only thing that exists, how do you know you exist? You need contrast, you need edges, you need the experience of not you in order to feel the fullness of you. So consciousness shattered itself, deliberately, lovingly, with full knowledge of what it was doing. It fragmented into an infinite number of perspectives, each fragment complete, each fragment sovereign, each fragment carrying the full genetic code, the full divine code of the original. You are one of those fragments, not a small piece, not a diminished version, a holographic fragment, which means the whole is contained within the part. The entire ocean exists in every single drop. You carry the complete blueprint of God, every capacity God has to create, to love, to destroy, to heal, to dream entire worlds into existence. You have those capacities too. Dormant, perhaps, buried under years of being told you were ordinary, covered in the sediment of other people's fear. But they are there. They were always there. This is why when you fall in love, it feels like the universe is singing, because it is. The original creative force is moving through you, recognizing itself in another fragment, and the joy of that recognition is so overwhelming it bypasses language entirely. This is why when you create something, a painting, a meal, a business, a sentence that makes someone cry, you feel godlike, because you are not feeling godlike. You are God, creating. This is why the moments of deepest silence, meditation, nature, that space between sleeping and waking, feel like coming home, because they are. You are returning briefly to the awareness that you actually are beneath the performance of being human. You did not fall from grace. You dove from it willingly, ecstatically, into this incredible, painful, gorgeous experiment called mortality. And everything you have survived, every loss, every failure, every night you lay on the floor of your life and wondered if you could go on, that was not punishment. That was God, having the most profound experience available. The experience of forgetting everything, and then, slowly, magnificently, remembering.
Part 2. The sacred code in your DNA. Science finally agrees with the mystics. Now let's talk about something that will make the hairs on your arms stand up. Because this is not just poetry. This is biology. Your DNA contains approximately 3.2 billion base pairs, 3.2 billion individual instructions that determine not just the color of your eyes or the shape of your hands, but the architecture of your consciousness, your capacity for love, your ability to create, to imagine, to dream of things that do not yet exist. Scientists have mapped the human genome. They understand perhaps 2% of it. 2%. The other 98%? For decades they called it junk DNA, non-coding, useless, evolutionary leftovers. They were wrong. Recent research suggests that this so-called junk DNA contains regulatory information so complex, so layered, so breathtakingly sophisticated that our current models of biology cannot fully explain it. Some researchers now call it the dark matter of the genome, invisible to our instruments, but clearly doing something of profound importance. The mystics called it the Book of Life. The Kabbalah called it the hidden Torah, the divine text written before creation, encoded in the fabric of reality itself. The Vedic tradition called it the Akashic Records, the complete memory of every soul that has ever lived, stored not in some cosmic library, but within you. What if your DNA is not just biological code? What if it is divine code? What if the 98% they cannot read contains the full record of your cosmic identity, your history across dimensions, your original name in the language of creation, the specific role you agreed to play in this chapter of the universe's story? Consider this. The human brain contains approximately 86 billion neurons. Each neuron can form up to 10,000 connections. The number of possible configurations of a single human brain is greater than the number of atoms in the observable universe. Your brain is not just the most complex object in the known universe. It is a universe. You are carrying an entire universe inside your skull. And neuroscience now confirms what meditators have reported for millennia. The brain is not creating consciousness. The brain is receiving it, like an antenna, tuning in to a frequency that exists independently, that would continue to exist even if every brain in the cosmos were to go dark simultaneously. You are the receiver, not the signal. But here is the part that changes everything. The receiver and the signal share the same nature. When a radio antenna vibrates at a certain frequency, it does not merely receive that frequency. For a moment, it becomes that frequency. There is no separation between receiver and signal in that instant of resonance. Every time you enter stillness, every time you touch genuine love, every time you create something from the deepest part of yourself, you are not just receiving the divine signal, you are the divine signal, fully, completely, without remainder. And your body knows this. This is why trauma lives in the body and why healing feels like remembering. This is why loving touch can change a person's biochemistry in minutes. This is why the placebo effect, where pure belief heals the body, is one of the most powerful forces in medicine, consistently outperforming drugs in study after study. Your belief shapes your biology. Your consciousness rewrites your physical reality. That is not self-help rhetoric. That is the signature of a creator God operating through biological hardware. You are not a sophisticated animal who somehow developed spirituality. You are divinity itself, running a temporary simulation called being human. And the simulation is ending. The veil is thinning, and you can feel it. Part 3. Why you were chosen. The mission hidden in your suffering. Now, I need to say something that might be the most important thing you hear this year. Your pain was never random. The losses, the betrayals, the years of feeling invisible, the relationships that shattered you, the dreams that died in your hands, the mornings you woke up and had to convince yourself that continuing was worth it. None of that was punishment. All of it was preparation. Every chosen one in every story ever told follows the same arc. Think about it. Moses in the desert for 40 years. Buddha beneath the Bodhi tree, starving and confronted by every demon his mind could produce. Jesus in Gethsemane, sweating blood, asking to be released from what he had come to do. Joseph thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned for years before being elevated to save an entire civilization. Do you see the pattern? The chosen one is never chosen because their life was easy. They are chosen through the difficulty. The hardship is not the obstacle to the mission. The hardship is the mission, the crucible that burns away everything false until only the indestructible truth remains.
You have been in the crucible. Maybe you are in it right now. And here is what I need you to understand with every cell of your body. The fact that you are still here means you survived every single thing that was designed to destroy you. Every loss, every rejection, every version of yourself you had to bury to become who you are now. You survived at 100%. That is not ordinary. That is divine. The universe does not assign a mission to someone who cannot carry it. The weight you were given is the exact weight of the strength you secretly possess. The darkness you have navigated is the precise map of the light you are meant to bring. Your wounds are not your weakness. They are your credentials. The healer who has never suffered cannot reach the person drowning in pain. The teacher who has never doubted cannot speak to the student who has lost all faith. The light worker who has never touched darkness has nothing real to offer to those still trapped inside it. You were sent into the darkness specifically because you could find your way out, and because you needed to know the way out well enough to lead others through it. This is your bloodline mission, not fame, not success as the world defines it, not the accumulation of things that rot and rust. Your mission is consciousness transmission. Every conversation you have, every act of genuine kindness, every moment you choose love when fear would be easier, when vengeance would feel sweeter, when collapse would be so much simpler than standing up again. Every one of those moments sends a frequency into the world, and that frequency wakes people up. You are a tuning fork for the divine. When you vibrate at your true frequency, everyone near you begins to resonate, not because you are preaching, not because you are performing, simply because the truth in you recognizes the truth in them and calls it home. You did not choose this lightly. Before this life, in whatever space exists between incarnations, you looked at the specific chaos of this era, the confusion, the disconnection, the collective forgetting, and you said, "I'll go. I can do this. I know what this world needs because I have known what it is meant to need it myself." You volunteered. You are not a victim of this life. You are a volunteer in the most important awakening in human history.
Part 4. Activating the Bloodline. How to live as the God you actually are. So how do you live this? How do you walk through an ordinary Tuesday, laundry, traffic, difficult emails, as a sovereign divine being who carries the bloodline of God? This is where it gets practical. And this is where most spiritual teaching fails you, because it tells you the truth about who you are, and then leaves you standing in the gap between that truth and your actual life, feeling even more like a failure for not being able to instantly embody it. So let me give you something real. The first practice is remembrance. Not meditation as effort, not prayer as supplication, but simple daily remembrance. Before you pick up your phone in the morning, before the noise begins, you take 3 breaths and you say, out loud or in silence, "I know what I am. I remember what I am. I choose to operate from that today." That is it. You are not trying to become something. You are reminding yourself of what you already are, the way you might remind yourself of your own name when you are still half asleep. Simple, direct, true. The second practice is radical creatorship. Gods do not happen to, gods happen through. Every time you catch yourself saying things happen to me, you stop. You pause, and you ask the question that a creator asks. What am I calling in with this? What am I creating with this belief? How would I respond if I knew I was the author of this story, not its victim?
This is not toxic positivity. This is not pretending pain doesn't exist. This is the fierce, loving insistence on your own sovereignty in the face of circumstances that want to convince you that you are small. The third practice is living in your original frequency. Every God has a signature frequency, a specific quality of consciousness that is theirs, the thing they do effortlessly that makes others stop and stare, the thing that feels like breathing, not effort, the thing that when you're doing it, time disappears. That is your divine frequency. Creativity, deep listening, teaching, building, healing, leading, loving, seeing the unseen in others, making beauty from chaos. Whatever it is, you know what it is. You have always known. Do more of it, fearlessly, without waiting for permission, without asking if it is practical, profitable, or acceptable to those who have not yet remembered what they are. The fourth practice is conscious transmission. Everywhere you go, you carry a field. Your nervous system broadcasts a signal that others feel before you speak. When you are anchored in your divine identity, that signal says, it is safe to be real here. It is safe to be awake here. It is safe to remember here. You do not need an audience. You do not need a platform. You just need to be you, fully in the room you're actually in. The family dinner table, the office meeting, the grocery store line. These are your sacred spaces. These are the altars where the chosen one does the real work. Every moment of authentic presence is a prayer. Every act of genuine love is a miracle. Every time you choose truth over comfort, you crack the veil a little wider for everyone. You are already doing the work. You have been doing it your whole life. Now you get to do it consciously.
The bloodline continues through you. We began with 6 words. You were never just human, and now you know why. You are a fragment of the original awareness, a holographic drop of the infinite ocean, a sovereign creator who chose the forgetting so that the remembering could be this beautiful, this earned, this real. The bloodline of God is not a metaphor. It is not a religious claim. It is the literal, physical, spiritual truth of your existence. The same intelligence that designed the mathematics of galaxies is the intelligence running through your blood right now. The same love that holds the universe in coherent form is the love you are capable of, the love you have already given to people who did not even know how to receive it. You were not born to fit in. You were not born to survive. You were born to remember, and then to transmit that memory to everyone's life you touch. This is not a burden. I need you to hear that. This is the greatest honor available in any dimension of existence, to be a point of light in an era of confusion, to carry the divine code in a world that has forgotten it exists, to walk through ordinary life as an extraordinary being, not in arrogance, not in separation, but in deep, quiet, unshakable knowing. The chosen ones throughout history were not chosen because they were perfect. They were chosen because they were willing to go into the darkness, willing to feel the full weight of being human, willing to stay when every part of them screamed to leave, willing to love when love seemed to have no point. That is you. That has always been you. Every time you chose kindness when cruelty would have been easy, you fulfilled your mission. Every time you got back up after the world knocked you down, you proved that the divine cannot be extinguished. Every time you looked at another human being in their worst moment and chose compassion over judgment, you were doing the most sacred work available in this dimension. You are not waiting to be chosen. You were chosen before time began. You are not preparing to step into your power. You have never not been in your power. You have simply been remembering where it lives. It lives in your breath, in your hands, in your willingness to be present in this exact moment. The bloodline does not end with you. It begins with you. Every person you love, every life you touch, every conversation that goes one honest inch deeper than it had to, that is the bloodline of God moving through history. You are the first God this version of you has ever been, and you are magnificent. The universe has been waiting with extraordinary patience and extraordinary love for this exact moment, the moment you stop looking for the chosen one outside yourself, the moment you stop waiting for permission to be what you already are. This is that moment. This is the moment the bloodline awakens. This is you. If this video changed something in you, share it. Not for views, but because somewhere, right now, someone who looks like you, who has survived exactly what you survived, who carries the exact same forgotten fire, needs to hear this. Be the reason they remember. The chosen ones find each other. You just did.